Welcome to I Feel Fat today. I'm your host, Kelly Taylor, with a short intro this episode. There were some sound issues on this episode, as was the last ep. And here's the deal, guys. I am ordering new mic cords. I know that's the issue, so just bear with me while I do that. But yes, if you hear the sound quality kind of go up and down, it's not terrible, but it is there. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure I noted that. As always, please subscribe on YouTube. It really makes a world of difference. Check out the clips on YouTube and on our Instagram, I Feel Fat Today, where you can follow us there, and follow me, your host, Kelly Taylor, at Hello, This is Kelly, and go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. All of that stuff matters, and I'm doing this because I think it's a good show and I want more people to hear about it and become fans. And then all of a sudden I have fans in a random city in Michigan and I get to go there and perform stand-up. That's what this is all about. Just having more people discover me so I can go tell my stupid jokes there. All right. Well, I have a great conversation with my guest. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of laughs. And so please welcome my guest this week, Gabby Jordan Brown.
We're going discourse mode.
We're in. Oh man, I don't want you to think I didn't dress up. This is just usually the fit for the podcast.
I thought you did dress up. I think you look elegante.
Because, like we said, like we were discussing, I have a flight coming up. And so I was like, when I showered this morning, I was like, do I wash my hair?
Right.
So I have fresh hair for my destination, or does your hair automatically becomes plain hair once you step onto an aircraft? And I was like, I think even though I'm way past the wash day, I think I'm just gonna wash out the plain hair when I get to Milwaukee.
I was just talking about this. My parents met on an airplane.
Oh, I could never.
Yeah, but that to me that feels very pre 9/11.
Oh, that is so pre 9/11. Like, absolutely.
When you just kind of I feel like planes pre 9/11 were probably like, in those ads for like Diet Coke, where the flight attendant starts drinking Diet Coke and then the plane becomes beautiful and everyone's dancing and smiling. I feel like that was what planes were before 9/11.
I fully agree. The Britney Spears Toxic music video.
Yeah.
Truly. Yeah.
People just kind of jumping out and then come back
guys.
in. Yeah. They're like, I just went for a spin.
Now we're all just like a little nervous.
Well, we're all kind of like, if I die, I don't want to die uncomfortable. I don't want to die in heels.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's funny because when air travel was novel, back before airports were, weren't seen as a bus station for the sky,
right.
Essentially. It was, you did get dressed up. You did get dressed up to travel. I'm actually a travel pass person. Like, my brother's a flight attendant, so I got his like travel buddy thing, so I can fly standby. I'm not doing that for this flight. Yeah. This is like whatever. But if I just like want to see, maybe I can catch a flight to wherever, I can do that.
That's really fun.
But you can't dress like this. You have to dress nice. And I'm like, I got to get those damn Halara pants from TikTok shop that like look dressy but have stretch,
Well, who litigates that?
Whose
job is it to be like, okay, where's the ugly standbys?
Truly, like, because they'll go to the next person and if you don't look professional enough, because you're basically seen as an employee, so you have to represent the airline.
Oh.
Yeah, and so
you have to dress like those like hot gay flight attendants.
Yeah, truly. Like, if RuPaul is the gate agent, I'm not getting on. So.
And she is.
Yeah, truly. That's not our episode. Let's go here. I'm never this discombobulated,
That's
but I'm
fine.
here. I'm centered.
It's plane time soon.
Yes, I know it is almost plane time. And for as much as I travel, I'm like this every time. But
it's good to know it's never gonna go away.
Yeah,
it actually will never get better for you.
Truly, and it's not even a nervousness. It's just like I'll kill myself if I forget my phone charger kind of thing. You know,
and you will always forget some. I've found that with traveling, like you always forget something. It just has to not be the really important thing.
Yeah, like if I have like work to do or something and I forget my hard drive, that's like, I feel like I oddly would be less freaked out about that. I'd just be like, well, there's nothing I can do, as opposed to like, oh my God, I forgot my travel toothpaste. You know, I got to go to the fucking
Turn the plane around.
CVS.
I got to go to Hudson. What is it? Hudson Valley?
Hudson News.
Hudson News.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That place, if it was not so overpriced, I'd be like, that place is a wonderland.
Truly.
Where else can you get magazines that are 20 years old? Altoids.
I won't think I'm a millionaire when I step into there. I'm just like $5.99 peanut M&Ms. Like, this feels like the airport is so lawless, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love the lawlessness.
If no one got me, the credit card companies got me when I go to the airport.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll have this $24 burger.
Yeah.
Yeah, with blue cheese. Sure. Fuck my stomach.
Yeah,
when I'm in the
whatever.
air.
Bloody Mary, make it a double.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Oh, yeah. Getting fucked up before flights has been kind of like my new...
It's fun.
I'll take like a really, really big edible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you want to be kind of in the sky rethinking your whole life.
Oh, absolutely. You want to be as enclosed as possible when paranoia might set in. That's my philosophy, anyways.
I think so too. Yeah, just be as ill-equipped as you
yeah.
can. Yeah.
So, anyways, that was that. That's just letting you know where I'm at.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much for coming on.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
So as we were talking about before, you are born and bred in New York City.
Correct.
So Manhattan, Brooklyn.
Yes. So I was one of those kids where it's like my parents each grew up poor and then they like made money and raised rich kids.
You're going to be my child.
Yes. I already feel like I am your child.
Honestly, what Joe Gorman and Kelly Taylor would produce, it might be
me. Wait, that's actually very true. Yeah. Someone once told, I think a friend of mine was like, you kind of look like if Joe Gorman transitioned. That is pretty funny, actually.
Honestly, it's a compliment.
I think so. I think he's a handsome fellow.
Yeah.
Sweet man, too.
Great hair.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you from us both.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah, but I was born here. My mom is from Cape Town, South Africa.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, she's a white South African
I don't
Jew.
know any South Africans.
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, I think that they're often very like upbeat people. I mean, South Africa has its like issues.
Right.
I think living in Brooklyn, people will like act like I personally chose to have my mom be from South Africa.
I know. It's like I'm not paying for what my ancestors did. I'm not.
I'm also like, I'm sorry I was born.
Yeah, I truly don't know what to tell
I'm
you.
sorry. Yeah, before I was born, I just went on a map. Someone was like, "Where's your mom gonna be from? You get to pick." And I'm like, "Somewhere racist."
I know. Yeah, yeah.
Somewhere
I want it
terrible.
to be as uncomfortable as possible when I tell people.
I
where
want
I'm
people
from
like San Francisco to look at me and be like, "Huh."
Yeah.
When I told them,
interesting. You
interesting.
would choose to still exist
Yeah.
after that. Okay. Anyway, so sorry, your mom.
So I'm
South
from
Africa.
my mom's from South Africa. My dad's from California, and and then I have one sister who's younger than me.
Okay.
So we're kind of like a close nuclear family. I mean, good, nice parents. Like we have like some issues, but not like crazy. Like nothing that is beyond the paradigm of like normal Reform Jews. You know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're Jewish.
Yes.
Both mom and dad.
My dad's not, but he was one of those parents where he was like, I don't really give a shit when you raise
whatever.
the kids.
Yeah.
He was like super duper Baptist growing up.
Oh, okay.
So he was like, whatever you do, just like not that.
Yeah. So did you ever see his parents? Like, did you ever have a relationship with those grandparents?
I actually loved those grandparents because funny story about those grandparents. They lived in California, and I would go there and have like some of like the happiest times of my life because in New York, I mean, I'm so grateful to have grown up like in the middle of New York City, but also like I was like super ADHD running around kid, and everything is like a cramped space. You're always bumping into someone. People are being assholes about it. I'd go to California. My grandparents lived in like a mobile home, and they would just like be smoking cigarettes on their porch and be like, why don't you go run around? And it was like this quiet, empty like area of a bunch of different like, you know, little homes and like a parking lot. And every day I would go and I would throw a baseball against a wall for 8 hours from sun up to sundown, and I would just feel so happy.
Oh, before cell phones, man. Truly.
It was I mean, I had like a Game Boy too.
Yeah,
know,
but I mean, that's before like everything was sucked into, had our attention. It's so funny. I have to say this. What you're describing reminds me if I like take Finney to like upstate New York or like somewhere in New Jersey to like, you know, a friend's house with a yard, and he just gets to run.
I do have dog like tendencies. No, it was. I was running around.
I just get to run.
I was like, oh my God, I'm at a supermarket and I can like flail my arms around and not bump into anyone. Like, this is crazy, you know?
Yeah. So did you played sports growing up?
Yeah, I was a really athletic kid. It's funny with the subject matter on the podcast. I was like a rail thin kid.
Really?
I grew up like really, really skinny, but I got boobs and an ass at like age 12. So I was like, I had basically like a 22-year-old woman's body at like age 14.
So uncomfortable for.
Oh my God. And for me, because I was still like a fucking
right.
dweeb, kind of like borderline autistic, like theater girl.
Yeah.
So like to have that body was just so like whatever I exuded was like truly the opposite of sex appeal. It was like a Glee era Tumblr cringe horniness, but like in my body.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Like when you are, especially when you're so involved with sports and like, do you, how do I say this? Because I hate the term daddy's girl, but like, do you have a good, like,
yeah,
like I hung out with my dad. My dad and I were boys.
Yeah,
you know?
Same. My dad is like, my sister will call me like his son daughter.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
It's funny. He's not even like a hyper masculine guy. Like he's very artsy. He like has a history of like acting and directing. He's Buddhist now.
Oh my God, so cool.
Yeah, he's like a kind of liberal, you know, guy. Yeah. But we had like a really close relationship, and now I think about it, and I'm like, but do we know that much about each other? But like we did hang out a lot. But I also played sports kind of like separately from him. Like my sports thing was like when I was 7, I discovered baseball and that I loved it, and no one in my family liked it. And they were like, where the fuck did this come from? And they were like, do you like any other sports? I was like, for some reason, no. Like I only like this one sport. And I developed this like fixation for it. So I played baseball up until I was like 18 years old.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. And being in New York, I mean, come on. That's a great city to be from.
I've got this tattoo. I don't know if you can see. New York Yankees. Here.
Let me see.
Hold on. New York Yankees.
No shit. Oh my God. Yeah. You have a New York Yankees tramp stamp.
Damn right.
Joe Torre would be so proud.
I met Joe Torre once. I was starstruck. Oh my God. He was like my idol. I would like think about Joe. I wouldn't like jerk off to Joe Torre, but I would like think, I would be like, oh, the legacy of the Yankees he's building. Like, right. I would be like 12 years old thinking about Joe Torre's legacy, you know? Yeah. So like I met him at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade one year, and I was so starstruck and in awe. Like, I don't even remember what was said.
Right. You probably had a fixation with Joe Torre where it's like in school, if you have to write a biography on somebody, you're picking Joe Torre. So when you get to meet him, you're like, I know the town you were born in, the year you were born in.
Yeah, I read his biography. He has interesting stuff with weight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He like went on a diet where he like, he was always like a fat guy. And then he went on this diet where he ate like hard-boiled eggs and drank like 4 cups of water, and it was called like the sponge diet.
Sounds Parisian.
It was so bizarre, and I don't know if it really worked. I mean, he's still like a big Italian guy.
Yeah, you know? Come on, you gotta have pasta. So what was going to school like in Manhattan, like elementary school?
It was, so I went to a private school for 2 years, and then both my parents were like, how does everyone afford this? Like, it's broke.
Yeah, crazy.
Like they were like working really hard, but they were like, this is like a lot of money.
It's college tuition.
Yeah,
level.
It is,
crazy.
and they didn't realize because they had just moved to New York and they didn't like really understand this, that like other people had like grandparents who were paying the tuition.
Yes.
So, and then on top of that, in private school, there's this urge to like really be helpful to every kid in a way that is, I think, actually harmful in the end, because I would like do all this kid shit, like, you know, like I'd spill things and knock things over and like dip my fingers in the orange juice and stuff, and I was kind of weird. And so they would look every week. I'd get like called into an office, being like, she must have some like like tested for something,
Right? Because she's just being a kid.
But they could never figure out it was because it was not. It was just
being a child.
Because I was just a child. And
Yeah.
then they were like, fuck this, we're putting her in public school. So then they put me in a public school. It was called PS41, where knowledge goes to have fun. On 11th Street, great place. And I remember my parents telling me they like went to the first parent-teacher conference, like terrified, like what are they gonna say? And then the teachers were just like, she's great. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah.
Like it's just like, I think public school is maybe the best thing that can happen to a kid.
So jealous. I never went to public school. I went to Catholic school.
Oh my God, what was that like? Did you have the nuns?
We had nuns.
Yeah.
I went to like as low budget of a Catholic school as you could go to.
Yeah.
It was sort of regional in that like there were a lot of surrounding expensive schools, but like kids that had families that wanted us to go to Catholic school but didn't want to pay $1 million. It still was expensive. But
yeah.
You mentioned the grandparents thing. My grandparents totally helped my parents,
of course,
with the tuition, because it was also them. Whatever. It was, you know, we wore a uniform, and the classes were small. Like it was
how small?
Like I probably, the younger I was, the more kids there were in class. And then the older I was, with each passing grade, the classes got smaller and smaller. And it's just because more and more parents were like, fuck this, I'm not paying tuition. And secondly, I mean, I think that's really what it was. It's just like, and I remember my grandparents always being like, no one values the Catholic education anymore. And so I probably had like, I think I graduated 8th grade with 22 kids.
Oh my God.
Yeah, very small. And my entire high school, like my graduating class, my senior year of high school was 110 kids.
Jesus
Not
Christ.
even, I think 110 is pushing it.
So you knew everything about each other.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you
everything.
still remember crazy details.
Oh yeah,
about
it's
people you went to school with.
It's super fun getting together with some people that I went to. I don't talk to many people, but the few that I do, it's very funny to recall memories and stuff. But like you always knew when you weren't invited to a party.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
because there was one happening. You know,
The party of God.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. My biggest gripe I have a lot of gripes with Catholic education. My biggest thing is the no sex education. That was very detrimental because you have to kind of.
What, you're saying that doesn't work?
What?
You're saying that doesn't work?
Oh gosh, you mean the trial by error method? No, it doesn't work very well.
We'll just keep doing it. Maybe at some point it'll stick. It has to work eventually.
Yeah, no, truly. It's I don't know.
They're gonna stop it. So this idea that like the kids will just burn out eventually, they're gonna stop wanting sex at some point.
I know. Because
stop.
They got by just putting the literal fear of God in you. And like if you're a kid like me, you were like, I'm not gonna go to heaven, you know, then it'll affect you and it'll make you be very like, all right, I'm not having sex. I'm waiting until marriage. If you get an abortion, going to hell, all that shit.
When did you realize? Sorry to interrupt, but when did you realize like heaven like wasn't really real?
So it all went through phases and stages. It wasn't until I was like somewhere in college where I was like, all right, bitches can get abortions. I just won't. Mm-hmm. And then when I was a little bit out of college, I was like, if I want an abortion, I'm getting like this is my body. Once I got a little bit more like educated on politics and realized like I wasn't pedestalizing the white men making the decisions on our bodies. I was mad at them, you know, because I also grew up in a really conservative house, so I identified with those politics, because if you didn't, you weren't loved. So of course I'm gonna, you know?
Yeah, obviously.
Exactly.
No, you should have stood your ground and not experienced love as a child.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So what would you ask me? When did you realize like heaven? I remember it was like a year or two after college. One of my friends that I really respect and think is really smart also came from a Catholic background and made a joke about like lying to your mom or realizing that your parents aren't smart when they realize when you realize they believe in heaven or they still believe in heaven or something like that. This was like over 15 years ago. And I laughed at it, and then I thought like, oh my God, like I guess I never realized that I still identify as somebody that like believes in God and heaven and hell. And then that kind of sent me down a path of being like, what do I believe? And then I kind of went into this weird place of being like, yeah, God's not real. I'm so sorry, God. I'm so sorry that I said that. I'm just trying to connect with my peers. Like I would have these like
I really didn't mean that. I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me.
Private conversations with God, because I would like act like I didn't think God was real. And then I kind of hit a point as of the last few years, I was like, oh, God is the universe. Like,
yes,
like
I think so too.
It's not a man in the sky. Cause like I have in my mind what it's been like ingrained in me as what I believe to be a God. And like, I could not draw him out, but he's a dude in the sky. And then once I realized like, oh, those times that I was praying to like stop peeing the bed as a kid, because like I always would pray when I needed to like fix something. I'm like,
me too.
That wasn't necessarily God. That was, I don't know, the universe or whatever. I don't know. So it's been a journey. So there's no simple answer to that.
Right.
I don't know how we got here.
Yeah. Well, Jews like don't believe in like heaven or hell.
Right.
So I grew up, fortunately, I think not believing in that, but I think because of that, I still believe in God, some kind of version of God in a similar way, because I don't really like equate.
Thanks to him, you're the chosen people. I mean, what do you want?
I have to believe, because like, look what he did.
Yeah.
Look what he did for us. Here I am in New York City doing open mic comedy every night. He chose me.
God bless it.
Yeah.
God bless it. Yeah. So the reason why I asked what school was like for you, because I always wanted to go to a school that was like PS whatever.
Yeah.
So that's fucking cool.
It was awesome. Like I met so many like really fun artsy kids, and I like learned to, I don't know, my parents always like instilled like a love for the arts. So I was doing the arts and I was doing sports. Like I was definitely a kid who was thinking all the time.
Did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to Hunter College in the city.
Okay, so you still lived at home?
There is actually I went through this scholarship program where they gave us dorming.
Nice.
But my dorms were like 10 blocks from my parents' place.
I mean, hey.
Deeply convenient situation.
Yeah, truly.
You could just go, I could just like pop by home whenever, but also if I wanted to stay out, I like had a place.
Yeah, so that's actually fucking sick.
It was awesome. College was the best time of my life, for sure.
Yeah, same. But I think that's cool that you were close to your parents. It sounds like your parents were pretty cool, regardless.
They were, I mean, they like, I think it's like people talk about like mommy issues or daddy issues. Like I have issues with my mommy and daddy sometimes, but I don't know that I have mommy or dad. Oh, I have some mommy issues for sure, but I don't know if I have like.
I don't know a girl that doesn't have some mommy issues. Girls that are like incredibly close with their mom. I love my fucking mom. Like I'll call my mom up, like we talk once every 2 weeks, and it's great. But I don't understand women that are like, my mom's my best friend.
I will not. Like, I will kill those women with a hammer.
I don't understand.
They're psychos. They're delusional.
I'm just like, your mom is the one person that knows where to like, like when you need a reset in electronic, you have to like take a pin and put it in. Like your mom is the one person that knows how to do that to you. Like she could take me out with a sentence. And these bitches are best friends with those women.
No, I'll never understand.
Yeah, no,
yeah. Why don't I go be friends with fucking Osama bin Laden next?
Truly.
Yeah. That's my best friend, dude.
So the reason why I asked about you going to college is because when I talk to people, I noticed that college was like a major life change. So like all of a sudden, I went from like my mom making all my meals to now I have unfettered access to a dining hall, and I don't know how to react to that. I don't know if that's something you can relate to, but like. And then there's also the notion of like the freshman 15 or college bloat. Like, did you experience any of that? Like,
yeah. So college was when I like started to experience weight gain, and part of it was I hilariously was a vegetarian for a lot of my life.
artsy parents.
It wasn't even that. It was me. It was I mean, I guess
You're
it kind
good.
of
Keep talking.
it stemmed from artsy parents, but it was because I played the cow in Into the Woods in the 8th grade.
Totally.
And I was eating steak at a restaurant one day, or it was like a burger, and I was like, I'm eating myself. I had like a fucking
So existential.
I had like an existential freak out. I was like, I have to go method. Like, I'm not going to eat any more meat. So I like wasn't eating meat for a while. It's a pretty easy way to like, I mean, like a lot of people, you know, diet off of like grilled chicken and stuff, but for the most part, I think a lot of people like do lose weight like not eating meat. So
yeah.
I think when I was 19 one day, I was like, actually, fuck this. Like, I bet meat tastes really good.
Yeah.
So I started eating meat again. And I was like, whoa, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. So I started gaining weight. My friend Emma and we would order like 30 wings and just fucking go to town.
Oh, I miss ordering 30 wings and going to town in college.
It was the best, right? Like, but I think that I always kind of felt fine about my body. Like, I didn't necessarily notice I was gaining weight. And then, of course, my mom pointed it out.
Oh, yeah. Good old.
It became one of those things where it was like, this is something that, like, really has to be addressed because you've never gained weight before. And now it's happening. And my weight has, like, fluctuated a lot during my life. But now that I'm older and my sister's older, we're both the same build. We're like thicker women. And I think it's like my dad's kind of a bigger guy, and pretty much all the women in my family on his side are like bigger women. And besides my grandmother, like my mom's not skinny, you know. She's not fat, but she's not skinny. So I'm kind of like it all of these weight gains I experienced, the first one being in college, like there must be a genetic component to it.
Right.
Because my fucking roommate is real thin and eats the same garbage that I do and never works out, never does jack shit.
Yeah. And when you're young and experiencing that, it feels like you're cursed, or they're just like, they're at a different level that I can't achieve. Because like my brother was like that. My brother is rail thin. And my mom was always putting food on his plate to make him gain weight and trying to like take food off of my plate so as I wasn't, to gain weight. And you're just like, it is genetics.
Yeah.
You know? And my brother and I came from the same parents, but it's just like he got the skinny genes.
It's weird. That happens sometimes. Like my sister has red hair, like naturally
That's
red
so
hair.
weird.
I have
Yeah.
gray hair.
Yeah.
Like, it's just this shit happens, right? Like there's things you can do to modify it, but at some point it's like, why the hell? I don't know. But yeah, I started gaining weight more in college, and I started noticing it and feeling like a certain, I think, sense of like shame around it. And it all culminated with, in college, my mom was like, I have a present for you. I have a gift for you. Great news. You're going to see a personal trainer for 10 sessions. And I was like, oh, good. What an awesome gift.
Yeah.
And then
did you really feel that? Were you like, oh, I'm excited? Or were you like,
no, I fucking didn't want it. I was so mad. I mean,
yeah.
But you can't be mad. Sure, he bought it. I can't be like, take it back, you know?
Right. You do it.
And then there was some part of me that was like, yeah, maybe I should. Like, I didn't have the wherewithal to be like, I actually think this is a waste of my time. Part of me justified it. I was like, oh, I used to be an athlete, right? Like, maybe it would be good for me to get back in shape.
Right.
And there were parts of it where, like, I learned how to do certain exercises I wouldn't know how to do, but I did not get along with that personal trainer at all, which did not help.
That is a relationship in which you need to get along with the person.
Yeah, she just bought me, like, a package for, like, a random woman, kind of just so that she could kind of, like, cleanse her hands of the issue because of, like, stuff that I know is generational from her mom. Yep. That I don't blame her for. It's just one of these things where, like, we as women, like, just cyclically do this to each other.
Just keep passing it down.
Yeah, it's the fucking reset button.
Puff, puff, pat.
Yeah.
Truly, the reset button. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, getting 10 sessions from a trainer as a gift was like a birthday or a.
It wasn't even it was like nowhere. It wasn't even an occasion. It was like great news.
It's almost worse when it's not an occasion.
Oh, it was so much worse. I was like, this couldn't have been like a Valentine's Day, like Leif Erikson Day, anything. Just fucking make it up at this point. Don't just be like, you fat bitch. Get in the gym.
Truly, it's like, how would she react if her husband got her a vacuum as a gift? You know, like that's the same thing.
He probably would. I mean, he would probably do it and say like, "Oh, but I think it's more because he's a gadget guy. He likes vacuums."
Okay, always giving dad an excuse. I can see.
You're right. It's so bad. Yeah, growing up, like my sister and I would always complain about the opposite parent.
Yeah,
where like she'd be like, oh, "Dad is really pissing me off today," and I'd be like, "He's not that bad," but Mom is driving me crazy. She'd be like, She's not that bad.
Yeah.
She's just tired.
I realize as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh, I really didn't give my mom too many breaks, did I?
Oh yeah, same. I mean, the specific ways, like some of the ways that my mom terrorized me, could probably be attributed to the fact that she was the more active parent.
Yeah, totally.
So busy.
Yeah, so busy.
Like making sure I got to everything on time. Like trying to like maybe communicate with her husband, who's probably like, oh, I have to do all this shit at work, like I can't really talk right now.
Yeah,
all of these things I definitely like put it on her, and it's I think why my mom and I have a much better relationship now than we ever have.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
to be an adult grown ass woman who appreciates their mom.
Oh, it's the best.
I wouldn't take away the trajectory of a relationship for anything, honestly.
Yeah.
Like we hated, well, she didn't hate me. I hated her.
Yeah.
When I was younger, went to college, was able to go do my thing. And then once you move out of the house, you know, you're able to kind of be like, Mom, what was that lasagna recipe you have? You know, you're able to kind of. But so did you grow up around parents that talked about dieting or?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really?
They like in terms of like the food that they made us, like my parents worked a lot, so it was a lot of like nannies kind of making french fries and nuggets and pasta. So like the food element of it wasn't really like put on to me, but I would hear my mom talk about like diets she was doing all the time and get really excited about. I mean, at this point she must have tried every fad diet in the book.
If you're in your 30s, you were a child in the 90s, so that's when diet culture, that was you had Atkins, you had the list goes on of
she did
diets
Atkins
in the 90s.
When it was 2000, she did keto.
Yeah,
pretty much all of those.
So your mom sounds like someone that's like ahead of the curve of diet trends.
Oh my god, she gets so excited when like she'll like grin with glee and be like, I found this wonderful supplement. And I'm like, yeah, let's see where that is in 3 weeks.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
And I feel bad because I think that my mom and I ultimately have the same kind of relationship to food where like she will diet and then I think she thinks that if she eats in private it like doesn't count.
Totally.
Like,
closet eater, baby.
She'll go to the closet and be like, oh, I'm so, because she's fucking hungry because the diets don't work.
I know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When you aren't satiated, you're going to go buck wild. That was like my move when I was in my earlier 20s, living on my own or even in college. I would go all day not eating, thinking I did a good job not eating, you know, or like eating very little because I could never always just not eat. I always, I was eating very little. And then I'd go out and drink and I'd wake up with like 5-6 Uncrustable wrappers around me. I'd wake up like a McDonald's bag. Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck happened last night? I don't even remember the binge.
It's because your body's like freaking the fuck out. Your body's like, if I don't eat 70 pounds of nuggets, I will die right now.
No, truly. And like you're drunk, and so that's like, oh man, it's like nirvana. It's just crazy because you've been depriving yourself of it all day or for days on end. So yeah, and that's still something I'm trying to unlearn.
Yeah.
Is if you don't eat, because if I'm sitting at my desk at work and I had on the off day where I've forgotten to eat, I get that like gurgle in my stomach that's like, that signals like, hey, you're hungry, like you get a hunger pain. There's a little part of me, and I know this is toxic and I shouldn't be saying this, but I feel good. I'm like, oh, I reached the point
Yeah.
of being very hungry.
No, that makes total sense. I get exactly the same thing. Yeah.
I'm not trying to say I'm never hungry. I'm actually hungry right now, but like, it's just something when like you realize like, oh, it's been a little bit. It's been like, 12 hours since I've had a meal. I'm like, I feel like I finally have a hold on self-control or something, which is just a toxic thought.
It's almost like the rumble is kind of like, you guys like that?
Yeah. You hear that?
You hear that? You fucking look at me. I'm doing it. I'm trying. I'm going to be 2 pounds tomorrow.
Yeah. No, it's crazy how much I weigh truly depend. I mean, obviously there's like the physical, how much I weigh, but how much I weigh is so mental. Like when I get done having the flu, I had the flu in January. I felt good for like 2 weeks after because I was like, I drank Pedialyte for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like I haven't eaten anything. Nothing.
I wonder if part of that is just like when you don't drink alcohol for 2 weeks,
No, that's so true.
or like go out to eat with your friends. Like you probably do just feel a little better.
No, honestly, I did dry January because I was sick with the flu.
That's probably good.
Yeah. No, I joke to my friends. I'm like, I've never. The healthiest I feel is like when I have the flu because I'm not going out. I'm not,
When I had COVID, I did mushrooms alone in my apartment, and it was so much fun. It was the best because you're not getting like fucked up by yourself. And mushrooms are just like your brain; they're not really your body. So you're just kind of like, I don't know, chilling at home, feeling a little like, woo woo.
I love mushrooms.
They're the best. I remember I did it to like clean my apartment.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
That is crazy.
Not very efficient, but I was like sorting tools into a box, and I took a wrench and I started holding it like a puppet and laughing. Mushrooms is the best. Yeah.
You can definitely get sidetracked.
Highly
they
nutritious.
are vegetable.
Highly nutritious.
Wow.
Yeah. Something to think about for all of us.
I'm just thinking about all the different ways in which I've ingested mushrooms, and it's been in chocolate form. But, that's one of the ways. So I'm like, chocolate and vegetables?
Chocolate covered vegetable.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's fine. Did you notice maybe it was like 2018 or whatever, there was this trend of like chocolate covered nuts were like the thing?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if it's 2018, but those have been ever present in my life, chocolate covered nuts.
They're amazing, but I think it's like I used to work, maybe it was 2018 because that was when I worked in this office that like was basically run by like a guy who had a very clear eating disorder, and like whatever snacks were in the kitchen were things where it's like we have to like make sure that the snacks are healthy so that he doesn't get mad that he has access to so much food.
That's funny that you brought that up because I've worked in so many offices where the person that's running things totally is dictating. You could so tell when the CEO of the company has a food issue.
Yeah, but then like the food that they actually stock, like it actually isn't healthier.
No.
It's just healthier according to some guy.
They're just marketed that it's healthier.
So I would eat like 40 chocolate covered cashews a day.
No, totally. I know what you're talking about.
I'm gaining so much weight. I'm gaining more weight than I ever have, dude, because of your healthy snacks.
Yeah.
If you gave me 1 pack of Gushers, I'd be fine.
Yeah, totally.
You gave me a good snack.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to eat 40 bad snacks.
I know, like the girlies on TikTok that are like, oh, replace whatever with a rice cake. I'm like, do you know what I could do to a pack of rice cakes? Because it feels like air. Yeah. So I will just go crazy on them. And then I'm like, is it good that I ate a pack of rice cakes in a day and a half?
Rice cakes is also like the
like
crown jewel of eating disorders.
Oh, yeah. I wish I didn't enjoy the mouthfeel so much. The
mouthfeel's great.
So much of my
big
food
fan of the
intake
mouthfeel.
is the mouthfeel.
All about the mouthfeel.
Because there are so many things that like I sort of like silently boycott.
Yeah.
Like I like cottage cheese, but I refuse to buy it because of all these bitches talking about, oh, cottage cheese this, cottage cheese that. You see Bethany Frankel fucking putting cottage cheese on her bagel as if that's a substitute for cream cheese.
Isn't cottage cheese just cheese?
No, I don't know what cottage cheese is.
Does anybody know?
But it's, I don't know what the fuck cottage cheese is.
I feel like nobody knows.
But it's a staple in a woman with an eating disorder.
Oh my God, yeah.
And listen, I had some friends over for the Super Bowl. My Planet, friend of the show. She made a really delicious buffalo chicken dip that was like it was buffalo sauce, chicken, and cottage cheese. It was good. I'm not knocking anything that's, we make with these substitutes. I really love sour cream, but like I'll do the Greek yogurt as sour cream.
Yeah.
Because it tastes the fucking
I'll
same.
mix them.
Oh, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to cook, so sometimes like these things that are like pitched to me as almost like diet things, I'm actually using in unhealthy ways. Like my mom got me an air fryer, and she was like, "Kids, yeah, we have a better relationship, but it's not like she's really stopped, She's like, this air fryer so healthy,
Yeah,
and I'll use it, and I'm be like, okay, I'm gonna make air fried okra and put it into the most decadent curry you've ever had in your life and eat 5 bowls of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't ultimately help, but it
Mom.
makes good food. Yeah, exactly.
And whatever, you're eating vegetables. That's like, I'm like, well, if I'm eating vegetables, it's fine. Wait, that's so funny that you brought that up about your mom getting you an air fryer. I saw someone online say this, like when you have fat phobic family, you get the best Christmas gifts. Like when this one girl posted on TikTok, she was like, when you ask your fat phobic parents for a walking pad for your desk and they get you the nicest souped up one, it's like, hell yes, because I would have gotten myself the cheap like $150 one,
Yeah, because you're not going to use it.
Yeah, exactly.
But your parents don't know. You're like, please, I really need this. They're going to get you something so nice that it'll convert to a bed you can nap on it.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that, hey, I'll take the air fryer.
I love my air fryer.
I love my air fryer.
Yeah, it's the best.
So embarrassing.
It makes really crispy, good chicken.
Really crispy chicken, and like we're probably all gonna get some kind of like weird cancer from it, but whatever. Everything gives you cancer.
I think everything gives you.
That's the motto on this podcast. Everything gives you cancer.
Everything gives you
Everything
cancer.
gives you cancer.
That's
Don't forget
fucking
it.
right.
Oh, the camera's crooked. That's fine. Whatever.
Crooked cameras give you cancer.
Totally.
Yeah.
Being on my crooked camera all day because it is shot on an iPhone. Ad for iPhone. Yeah, that thing's gonna get. My fingers are probably gonna have cancer. My fingers are gonna get cancer when I get my nails done.
My
and I
cancer
put in the little
has
UV
cancer.
thing. Yeah, truly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot where. Air fryers.
Air fryers. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good machine. Also, in college was when I first learned to cook, and that was actually really liberating because I think because I grew up with just so much kind of I don't know. My parents cooked occasionally, but they were just again really busy. So I don't think I really. I didn't learn how to make pasta until I was in college, and I taught myself. Yeah. I didn't know that you had to boil the water first. So I was putting pasta in unboiled water, and some Italian kid came up and was like, "This is a disgrace. What are you doing?"
See, that's the perfect analogy for abstinence only education. The amount of times that I've put uncooked pasta into cold water, the sex equivalent. Like I said, trial by error. You got to be taught these things. And now look at you, you're making
That's the analogy they use. They're never put the pasta in the water. You're I don't know what that could possibly mean.
And then oddly, it was an Italian guy that came and corrected it.
That's right. Yeah. The Italian guy goes, "What are you doing? You're not even touching your own clit. Come on. Oh, my Nona would be so upset. God.
Nona always made it best.
Nona always knew where the goddamn clit was. Oh.
No one touched a clit like Nona.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways. I don't know how we got here. What do you like to cook?
Oh, everything. Yeah, pastas, chicken, curries, salads. I'm big into making really indulgent salads.
Yeah.
I love to make unhealthy salads.
It's the best because there's kale, so it feels.
Yeah, it's kale, so it's fine. But it's I made one yesterday. It was kale, pine nuts,
I love
fried shallots, crispy prosciutto, nice, dates.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm detesting you saying that this is unhealthy because you had some fried prosciutto in there.
Oh, and goat cheese, a lot of goat cheese.
Goat cheese is great.
Goat cheese is fine. I mean, what even is healthy or unhealthy? Again, I was talking to my roommate about this. The one I mentioned who's really skinny, and she was like, my body doesn't work. My body's not healthy, and yet when I go to the doctor, they don't give me any shit. They don't question any of it. And sometimes, I don't know if you feel this way too, but sometimes I'm like afraid to go to the doctor.
Same. Yeah, no, totally.
Because I'm going to be like, my toe hurts. They're going to be like, you're fat.
No, truly. It's really frustrating because, and that's a big problem. And I think, oh man, there's a lot you can say negative about body positivity, fat acceptance, blah, blah, blah. Because there's the people that are like, being fat isn't healthy, as if everyone's a doctor and knows what constitutes healthy. The problem that a lot of fat people have is they go to the doctor, your toe hurts, and the solution is to lose weight. Mm-hmm. And that's not fucking fair, because that's not always the case. Because unless your labs are indicating, you're pre-diabetic, your cholesterol's through the roof, those are dietary things that you need to change. But when you're complaining about, pain in your knee or something, or pain anywhere, it could be something completely outside of what your weight. And so there's a lot of biases with doctors, I feel. And that's kind of, what I wish we could get to when it comes to body positivity, is so that, a fat person and a skinny person go to the doctor and get the same level of care.
Yeah.
And I know this is what Black women have been talking about for centuries.
Yeah.
Because,
we don't fucking listen.
I mean.
I listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think too, like, I don't know, like, there's a certain sense of, if you're fat, like, you're not trying.
Yeah, you're lazy, you've given up.
Yeah, but I think I was listening to Maintenance Phase, that podcast that they were talking about this research where it's like you were saying, it's actually not inherently unhealthy to be fat.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
There is unhealthy types of fat. There's visceral fat, the fat that can exist around your organs, which can be, unhealthy for you. But if you have that on lock, like, if you're a fat person that moves their body and eats vegetables, chances are you're probably okay.
Yeah. But what's interesting is, like, we say all this and it's true and it's right and it's the things that people need to hear. But I still sometimes enjoy an episode of My 600-Pound Life.
Please.
Because I look at I'm like, this is just grotesque.
I know.
You're like, we're like saying all this stuff. We're like, we deserve care. Like, fat bodies should be treated with gentleness. And then I look at the TV. I'm like, these fucking pigs.
No. You've nailed it. Like, sometimes I can't watch My 600-Pound Life because I'm terrified that the episode's going to end and they died. Like, I'm terrified.
It's happened a couple times.
Sometimes I have to, like, turn my empathy off to watch that show because I am, like, so sad when they die.
I know. Well, there's
but there's a difference between how much I weigh to something as opposed to
same. Yeah. 400. No, I agree, and maybe that's even why it's why it's fun to watch, because there's
you're like, you fat.
I mean, I also think maybe that is fat phobia in general, right? Is like the 150-pound person is threatened by the 130-pound person, but they're like, at least I'm not fucking 180 pounds. I don't check my weight on a scale anymore because I think that the number is probably, like, kind of irrelevant. Right. But when I think about it, I'm kind of like I used to, this number used to matter to me so much. And there was, like, a time during that, like, personal trainer period where I was weighing myself every single day. I was, like, using, like, a calorie counting app. And I actually, like, it did kind of work. I was losing a lot of weight. But then I was having this other issue where my clothes stopped fitting, and I hate shopping. Yeah. And that's mommy shit, too, right? Because when my mom would take me to stores when I was little, she kind of has, like, the same kind of ADHD way of moving about the world I do. She's, like, running around, grabbing all the clothes. I'm, like, so overstimulated. Yeah. The fabric feels weird on me. She's like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? I have, like, no breathing room, no time to think. She's like, you won't work with me. You won't cooperate. You don't like any of this stuff. We're leaving. We're going to another store. It was, like, 6 hours of my day. I was like, this is, like, the worst day of my life. I actually cannot wait for this to end. Yeah. And then, ironically, my reprieve was, like, we'd go to a restaurant. And I'd be like,
oh, God, I literally was going to tell you, I also have, like, stories of going shopping with my grandmother all the time, and the only reason why I have fond memories of it, besides, the time spent with her, is going to the lunch after. There is nothing like a day of shopping, for better or for worse, and then you get to enjoy some food after.
It's the best.
It's the best to go to an Applebee's after you've just spent all day at, you know, the whatever mall. Oh my gosh. And like my grandmother, she's still here, but so I feel like sometimes when I talk about her on a podcast, just for like the sake of anonymity, it sounds like she's gone, but like no, she's very much here. I have a lot of weird food stuff from her. It's like not even so much my mom, it's like my grandma. We would go shopping, and I just remember never wanting to disappoint her when she would like take something for me that maybe was a medium but I needed a large, you know, like it'd be like, oh, okay, well, let's see if they have it in a large. Like, I'd always felt like I was disappointing her a little bit,
right.
You know? So, like, I hated that feeling. And I also, just on, like, a attention span thing, would be like, I'm so fucking sick of this. Like, okay, we have what we have? Like, we need to keep doing, I want to go to lunch, you know?
At some point, you just burn out.
You burn the fuck out.
Part of it is it's there's like sensory stuff around it. Like for me, when I go shopping, it's like I know that I'm going to be putting like I have this thing where like I know I'm going to be putting strange fabric on my body, and it feels gross. And doing that over and over in like a rinse and repeat way, it feels like pushing Sisyphus's boulder up the mountain. I'm like, we're really going to keep doing this? Like, I'd like to sit and eat a pizza.
Yeah.
But because that's one thing.
Yeah.
And because it doesn't involve weird
feel.
It involves good sensory feeling in my mouth. I get to put pizza in my mouth.
Mouthfeel,
that
baby.
is so much mouthfeel. It's all about mouthfeel.
Mouthfeel, not body feel. Mouthfeel in, body feel out.
Yeah. I think sometimes I have an issue explaining to my family that like sometimes I'll be like I'll sleep at their place because they still live in the city, and I'll be like, oh, I left these pants at your place, and my mom will be like, well, you should have lots of pants. Like, you should be buying more pants. I'm like, you don't understand. Like, these are the pants that make me feel safe in my body. Like, these pants feel like my legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then these pants feel like my legs. It just connected what you said. Totally.
That's how it
literally
feels. Yeah.
Yep. It's so true. And then I'm like, I could just be like a cartoon character and have 5 of those pants in 5 different colors, you know?
Yeah, I've thought about that. And then you almost,
It's never the same.
It's not the same. It's like the pants you have, they're like worn in, and I'll always know if I buy, let's say, these pants. I love these pants. If I bought a second pair, I'd always know they weren't the original.
Yeah.
Something about the wear and tear of them. It's like they like, I don't know, they're like your friends. It sounds so sad, lonely, but yeah.
No, absolutely. And you know what we have to thank for that? Fast fucking fashion.
Yeah.
That's what we have to thank for that. Shitty manufacturing, nothing's the same. If you go to Shein and you buy 2 articles of clothing, you just add 2 to your cart, you're going to get 2 completely different things sent to you. The fabric of the feel of the fabric will probably be different. The sizing might even be different, even if it's the same size. And it's killing the planet.
Luckily, we have Temu.
Oh, God. For as, like, much as, like, I want to budget and be whatever, Temu feels like it should be my best friend. I fucking hate it. So
it's so horrible.
It's
made by
horrible.
These illiterate children who should be like having a safe, happy life, and they're in this. They're making a blanket that says there's. Okay. So on Temu, when I discovered what Temu was, me and my friend Eric went through. We like looked at Temu for like maybe 2 hours. We were like fully at a party, and he and I just went off on our phones in a corner, just like looking at it, like in disbelief that this was happening, right? I see this blanket, and it's baseball themed. Do you know the line, "There's no crying in baseball" from Leave Their Own? There's that quote is in the front, but it says "There's no cring in baseball."
Stop.
Yeah, it's misspelled because some poor child. can't fucking... You're giving an 8-year-old be like, okay, there's an iconic line from the movie A League of Their Own that you have to put on this blanket. And they're like, what's a movie?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
What's baseball?
And everything you buy on Temu is going to set your house on fire. Everything is very flammable from Temu. Okay, stop buying.
I ordered
Temu.
one thing for like $3 just to see what it was like. It was some of the worst quality jeans I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, you can't get like clothes.
You can't get $3 jeans from there.
Yeah,
maybe if you're a man, you can. But
yeah, like a thin man, a skinny man, like
Yeah.
Dallas Buyers Club skinny. You could probably get some nice clothes, or clothes, not nice clothes, off Temu. But you know, I'm not trying to sit here saying that I've never shopped fast fashion. I have articles of clothing where, like, I'm the kind of person where if you stop me and you're like, oh, I really like that hat, you know, I'd be like, oh, thanks, Shein. Like, I have to tell you where I've gotten it. Thanks, Amazon.
Yeah.
It's just like, if I always know where it's from, and I'm always happy to tell you. But I feel this, like, oh, I just told them that I shopped at Shein, you know? Like, man, I feel embarrassed.
I get a lot of clothes where, like, I have the clothes for so long that I forget where I got them.
Yeah, I do keep clothes a long time.
I mean, that was ultimately why in college, I think that, like, when I started losing all this weight, I was like, I guess I could sustain it and be on the same pace, or I could eat what I want and be able to fit back into my clothes that I like.
Yeah.
And I used to joke that, like, I lost a lot of weight, but then my pants didn't fit, so I just gained it back. And it's really kind of true. Like, I don't know. I think to me, just like it, I don't know. Maybe I just didn't see that much of like a moral value in being skinny.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you. It also helps when you don't have a sibling to compare yourself against. Like you said, you and your sister are like the same.
Yeah, I mean, with her, I did have some insecurity around it growing up, not with my weight specifically, but more with like looks, because she was she's a dancer.
Oh.
And she's a wonderful human being, but yeah, it was like, oh, the hot sister, you know, like I have this hot sister, and it was something that like drove me crazy, right? That all of the men I would hang out with be like, your sister's so hot. I'd be like, shut the fuck up. But now, I mean, she and I are like the same build now.
Yeah.
Like basically, like if you saw a picture of the two of us, like you would think that we were twins.
Right.
And I'm really lucky that I like get along with her and there wasn't any like sibling fighting, I think, because like
I don't think I could handle having a sister. I don't think I could do it.
I loved it because it's the only person who grew up exactly how I grew up, and we kind of like get to take on our parents together a little bit. I think that if we'd had a third sibling, that would have thrown a different dynamic into the mix.
Yeah.
We've talked about how, like, if we had a brother, we probably would have tortured him.
Yeah, totally.
And if we had a sister, we would have tried to, like, condescendingly mentor her.
Yeah.
And they both would have just resented us.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I know my poor little brother. I, like, see him as a child of mine. And he's like, where do you get off? Like,
yeah. I think on some level I see my little sister like that, too. I still call her my little sister.
Oh,
she's
like,
she's 26 years old.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. What's the age gap?
3.5 years.
Okay. Yeah. So that's too little of an age gap for it to be like, oh, I'm the one that'll show you the way. But you still feel that, especially when you're a kid and like you're 3.5 years old. All of a sudden, there's a baby at home. You know?
It was nice. My parents did something where they like pretended my sister got me a gift.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, it was like a big Winnie the Pooh bear, teddy bear, and they were like, your sister got you that. That's how you know kids are dumb. I didn't have a second thought. I was like, yeah, she came out of my mom and just like ran to get me a gift.
You're like, well, that's actually manners. Would you ever show up to someone's house empty-handed?
Would you show up to Earth without a gift?
No,
not me. I'm built different.
See, us Catholics, we show up with original sin.
Oh,
so.
That's true. The ultimate gift.
Yeah, the ultimate gift.
And us Jews show up with really bad bowel issues. That's our gift that keeps on giving. Oh, it never stops.
Okay, so mom dieted a lot, but she didn't really put the diets on you, it sounds like, until you got older.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really putting the diets on you. It was like, let's, you know.
It wasn't really about the diet. And in fact, when I did end up confronting her about the personal trainer thing because, like, maybe I think she really did think, like, oh, like, Gab was playing sports for so long and now she's not playing sports. She probably misses physical activity. And she probably did have maybe some idea that it was probably 80% just her being like, my child can't be fat because my child is an extension of me.
Yeah.
And 20% like maybe actually trying to do something for my own good. But the trainer herself was such a fucking bitch, dude. Like, she would have me like track what I was eating. And I think that that's pretty natural for a lot of trainers to do. But it wasn't something where like I came to her because I was like, I want to get. She was like, what are you looking for out of this? I was like, I really don't know. Like, my mom signed me up. I guess I want to get toned and maybe like lose a little weight. And like, I started tracking for her what I was eating, and I like called my mom one day. I was like, this is gonna give me an eating disorder. Like, I can't believe I don't have one yet. Like, I'm already like thinking about food in a way that's like moralistic. I'm moralizing what I'm eating. I'm like angry at myself when I eat fucking berries at night, because that was the shit my trainer would say. She'd be like, don't salt your food and don't eat berries at night. Like, things like that. Like,
I cannot stand these health people telling us that fruit is bad for you. That is such bullshit. Where do they get off telling me berries? What would you rather have me have?
When I was on Buff Boys, I was telling Joe and Matt that I had just come back from the doctor that day, and the doctor was like, carrots have a lot of sugar, and I was like, should I kill myself?
Like, what do you mean carrots have a lot of sugar?
Okay, I'll eat cake.
Am I a diabetic? Like, why are you telling me this? Am I on a medication that the sugar in carrots will fuck with me? It's so annoying.
I guess there's nothing to eat. I guess nothing in the world is good. So this woman was really like kind of stickler with me. Let's try not to eat those berries at night kind of person. And then she'd say things about herself where she'd be like, oh, I ate like 6 almonds today. Like, I'm so bad. Like, have you ever just been so bad? And I was like, yeah, one time I like cheated on my ex. And she was like, what? I was like, never mind. Don't.
Same thing as the almond thing.
It's like,
yeah.
I used to do a joke where I was kind of like we didn't fuck, we just kissed. So in a way, it's kind of like the almonds of cheating. I should bring that back. That was a good joke.
I like that. Wow. Okay. So she'd be like, I had almonds. Meanwhile, she's a personal trainer. She's working out all day long. God forbid she has some almonds.
This poor woman. I mean, something so horrible must have happened to her.
That's why I really think that, and I can relate to it, where eating disorders and disordered eating has an addicting quality to it. Like, just as you could be addicted to drugs, just as you could be addicted to Adderall. I mean, that's where my mind is. Alcohol.
I love Adderall.
And I guess Adderall, true, yeah. I mean, as someone with ADHD,
yes. I recently started taking, like, prescribed ADHD medicine, and I now realize why in college I was always like, I just love Adderall.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I actually maybe kind of needed it.
Yeah, totally.
I wonder if there's any other drug like that where people are like, I just love crack, and then it turns out crack is actually like amazing for them.
I feel like Adderall, I feel like Adderall is the only prescription medication that's out there, and medications like Adderall, Concerta and all that stuff. People love it so much because you get so much done, and productivity is like, that is, talk about a value judgment. Like, productivity is like what makes you feel like you are. Maybe I'm only speaking for myself.
No,
but
you're speaking. You're in my brain right now.
And there's also something that happens anytime I've ever taken Adderall where I'm like, I like spreadsheets.
Yes. Oh my God, 100%. Like, the productivity thing is so interesting. You're saying like that is actually probably the number one thing I struggle with most, more than food, more than like any other anxiety.
Feeling bad for not being productive.
If I have a day where I don't get like seemingly everything on my to-do list done, or if I like need to watch Law and Order, if I need to jerk off, I am so mad at myself the entire day.
Yeah.
And I sometimes I like stress eat because of it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, fuck this, might as well snack if I'm going to be a fucking, napper.
It's like I'm already tainted. I'm already
I already
tainted.
took a nap today for a fucking hour, like some kind of cuck.
And like now I napped and like I really think I'm gonna be able to go to sleep tonight because I took that damn nap.
Yes. Oh my god, the nap makes you so angry. Yeah. So Adderall, it feels so good to be able to just like, you're like, oh, I actually this thing I've been struggling with, it actually feels so good to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of it, like, I do have issues with executive function.
Totally.
Oh
yeah. And listen, like I've been prescribed Adderall before, and I loved it. And I felt like I was getting shit done. I was focused. Like, I don't know. It was great until Joe comes in and is like, hey, do you want to? And I'm like, what the fuck do you need right now?
Yeah.
I get angry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I can't be doing that.
I sometimes get the Adderall crankies, and I have to kind of like, I mean, I also just generally think like the productivity thing you said is very true. And also like, in 20 years, we'll probably be pretty like shocked that everyone got prescribed Adderall at one point. There will probably be some medication that's a little less intense, and we'll probably start thinking of it the way we thought of, giving 50s housewives like Valium and shit. We're in 20 years we're gonna be like, yeah, we were just like drugging people.
Yeah,
so
everyone
that they
was
could
just
get
on meth.
We're just like, I'm like doing my dishes. I'm like, wow, I need to take meth to do this.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And it's weird because when this is all in like the last 3 years, when I wasn't prescribed Adderall, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get anything done. I'm not getting things done at work that I need to get done. Like, and then I have decision paralysis where I'm just not going to do anything. And then I had a few months of being on Adderall, and it's almost like I was able to learn how to like prioritize and how to like,
yeah, it does help with that.
And then now that I'm not on it anymore, I have a little bit of a tougher time. Like, I don't love spreadsheets, but like I'm able to get the task done.
It's probably a little unhealthy to love spreadsheets. Sometimes when I'm on Adderall, I'll text my friends gossip, and it's like I'm writing a novel.
Oh no, I can feel the chemicals being released into my brain. Like I can feel it seeping into my pineal gland or whatever the fuck, wherever serotonin comes from, where I'm just like, I'm like, I'm on fire. And then, I'm texting a novel to my friends, and I'm saying, like, we should plan a weekend somewhere. Like, I'm making plans, and it's like, I'm not going to want to do that.
we should start a business. Yeah.
Like the social form, or we should start a podcast. Like, no, I can't be doing that.
God forbid.
Yeah, as if we need another one. Truly. Only if the content's good.
Like this one. That's right.
Okay, we have to start winding down here. I'm trying to think what else I want to ask you. Okay, so you mentioned about, stress eating. You brought that up before. Do you ever find that you're using food as like an emotional response to something? Like whether you're restricting your food because you're upset or eating more food because you're upset? Like, what's your emotional relationship with 100%. Food?
I'm an emotional eater times 1,000.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel like eating food is the happiest part of my day.
Totally.
It's just like the least complicated, like just you and I do this thing called dinner for one or lunch for one, where I make sure no one's with me, and I go to a restaurant and I sit in like the farthest away booth I can, and I just order the most like high value thing on the menu. Anything that's like, this comes with like 2 appetizers and a dessert and an entree. I'm like, oh, that is what I want. And like a beer, like a sake or something, and I'll just sit there. I won't even be on my phone. I won't even be listening to music. I'll just sit there like staring out into space, and then the food comes, and I just kind of eat and experience it. Yeah,
I call that taking myself out on a date.
Yeah,
it's dinner for one. Absolutely. this little, because I love being alone. I love doing things alone.
Yeah.
Eating alone is probably my favorite thing. But when I got him like 7 years ago, I was like, oh, now I have a buddy to go with me. So now I feel less weird if there's like a bar with outdoor seating. I used to go and sit and order something, whether it was a drink or whatever. And I had to get over feeling a little bit weird that I was doing that. Because like, why am I hanging out alone at a bar? And then once you have a dog, it's like, oh, she's just on a little walk with her dog.
I'm going to steal a dog.
Dude, you have to.
I think that's what
I really
this is making me
recommend
think.
it.
Yeah.
He's my buddy, man. Like we go out we go out on dates all the time, especially in the summer when you can sit outside.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so nice. But yeah, like my favorite thing is when if it's a Friday and Joe has a show elsewhere, my favorite thing to do is I go to this one open mic. It's the same open mic every Friday. And then after, I go to this place ramen spot, and I just get a huge bowl of ramen and a nice big beer. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm alone, and this is amazing. But I also have the productivity piece in there because I had to do the open mic first before I can enjoy the bowl of ramen.
Right.
I'm not going to get the ramen until I do the open mic.
Yes.
And it's not even for the love of the game. It's because if I don't do the mic, I'm a piece of shit.
Right. If you're bombing, you just be like, this is so I can eat after.
No, literally, this is so I can, because I have a spreadsheet that I keep track of some information.
Yeah.
But the main part of it is like, if I've gotten up that day and how long I've gotten up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's because I need to see visually a bunch of, and I color code it. So if I haven't gotten up at all, it's a 0 highlighted in red. If I got up once, then it's like a light blue color. If I get up twice, and it's like it's a different shade of blue. Mm-hmm. And that's because I need to look at the sheet and see, oh my God, that's like a chunk of red. Like I have to get up,
right?
You know, because otherwise I don't even know what day it is. You know, I don't know what's going on. I mean, when I don't
get up for like a couple days, I feel like I like feel it in my body. Like I imagine it's kind of like when a man like hasn't come for a while. I feel just like I need to tell my little like funnies.
I used to have that very much, and now I'm more like, oh God, I hate to even admit this, but it's more just like I have to get up just so I can mentally know I've gotten up, you know?
That's fair too.
Yeah. Like I wish it was more, because I have fun when I'm doing it. I have fun when I'm there. I have fun with the feeling after. Even if it's a bomb, it's like, all right, I did this, you know, and bombs make you better, whatever. But it's less of like, oh, I'm feeling anxious, and more of like, I just can't call myself a comic if I haven't done comedy, you know? So
that's the productivity thing.
But I also, that's definitely the productivity thing. And I also like go in waves with anything I do, and stand up being one of them. Like I'll look at, if you laid the year of my sheet out in a year of getting up, it'll be like blocks of blue because I've gotten up a lot. And then there'll be like some blocks of red. And it's like, well, I was a little depressed that week.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
I couldn't get out of bed.
That's kind of a fun metric by which to look at it. I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to do that for myself.
I highly recommend it. I was talking to one person about it because we both were like, why the fuck are we here? And I'm like, I have a sheet that keeps me account. And he was like, that stresses me the fuck out. I can't and I'm like, yeah, same. That's why I have it. Because otherwise, because I'm also somebody that it's like, if I've podcasted, I'm like, well, that was like
kind of comedy.
I did a comedy task. You know, we joked.
We riffed.
But it's not and I do think it's helpful, and I do think it's good, and I do think it helps that comedy muscle, but it's not the same as like, I mean,
non-comics think it's insane. Like I remember once I was having a conversation with my then girlfriend, and I was telling her how mad I was that I like didn't get up that night or something, and she was like, you did a roast. And I was like, that's a different kind of comedy. And she's like, what are you fucking talking about? Because to non-comics, it's all the same. Like you're humiliating yourself in front of a bunch of strangers. I've thought a lot about like how like crazy I think comics seem to non-comics. My best friend is a non-comic. She's an accountant. And she was like, the fact that you guys do this like is like, you're like going up there, you're saying like intimately personal things about your life, and you're doing it every single night. Like the fact that you guys need this is kind of insane. And like public speaking, I think, is like the number one fear in the population, like more so than death.
Totally.
And for me, it's like I actually need that to feel okay.
I know, like, because I have a day job, and my coworkers will have to like present something. They're like, oh, I'm so nervous to present. Are you nervous? Are you nervous? And I'm like, wait, we're presenting? Okay, what? Like, it doesn't even register to me that it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to get up and like give this presentation on whatever, because it's just so second nature.
It's also kind of like I sometimes struggle with like what are people nervous about, but then it's like I get nervous about other random things that have nothing to do with comedy.
I used to have, and maybe to a degree still do, kind of have stage fright. Like, I used to be way nervous about getting up, and even still get a little bit nervous. Like,
depends where I am. Yeah.
Like, if I'm getting on stage to like have a microphone in my hand and tell jokes that could be to stunned silence, especially because like when it's happened before, you're like, this thing might happen again. It still makes me a little bit nervous.
If it's a big gig, I get like really nervous because I feel like I sometimes am like, what if I just like my I can't be like silly and goofy and fun in the way I want to,
right?
Because I'm freaking out about trying to do my A shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like constantly meditating, being like, be yourself, be authentic, because that's what I truly think is like the key is just be authentic, be who you are. And that's how you're able to, like, you know, have a good stage presence and all that shit.
Yeah.
One more thing. I know I said we have to wrap up, but you mentioned that you date women.
Mm-hmm.
Does that ever... Because women and men both deal with food stuff, but there's something societally that's a little bit more ingrained in women. So have you noticed with dating women, their food stuff coming into play?
Yes.
Really?
And it's... Oh, my God. People will it's so frustrating. People will be like, "Oh, dating women, it sounds like a paradise.
Oh,
you don't have to deal with men." I'm like, men are the easiest, simplest people on the planet. They're not nice necessarily, but
yeah. Find a nice one, you can manipulate them.
Exactly. Well, I think that like something I've experienced in my relationships is like, if one of us complains about like, you know, I'm feeling fat today.
Yeah.
If you say that to a man, he's like, babe, you're beautiful. If you say that to a girl, you're like, well, what do you think of me?
Right.
And it's this standoff. It's like, oh, if you're fat today, what am I fat today? Or have I always been fat to you? Did you just date me because you thought I was? There's always that dynamic.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of my relationships too, I've had things where the women I date start getting like really into certain exercise routines and like losing weight kind of frequently, and I don't want to be insecure about it. It's like a flaw a little bit that I'm insecure about it. I want to be so happy for people, but I'm also like, oh my fucking God, we get it, you run.
Yeah.
You get it, you run.
It is a mirror. It's an unfortunate mirror.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I guess I could be doing that. Like, I have friends on Ozempic, and I at first kind of struggled with that, but had to really bring it back down to reality that it's like, it's not necessarily easy to go on Ozempic. There's a lot of like paperwork, for one, that I'm not willing to do, and you don't feel that great. So it's like you.
I don't want to feel bad all
what
the
am I
time.
trying to say? You know, I think at first my initial thing is to always be a little bit jealous when I see someone losing weight, because I want that to be me. So
right.
That's something I'm trying to work through. But the one thing that I have to be honest about when it comes to this whole Ozempic thing is that I don't really care when I hear about or I see that someone's on Ozempic, because I'm like, bitch, the moment you go off, you're gaining the weight back. And so that's like, so it's like, who fucking cares? You're skinny now. You're not always going to be. And I'm talking more about like celebrities and stuff, because I want my friends to be happy and healthy and all that stuff. But even some of them are like, yeah, no, I'm going on it for this amount of time, and I know when I go off, I'm going to gain it back, but I'm going to be skinny for the time frame that I want to be. And I'm like, that's respect. Like, just speak it into existence, because I hate that we're all like going around like, but that goes back to what we were talking about of like thinness equals healthiness.
Yeah, that too. I think also on the subject of like dating women, like I think sometimes because women are compassionate in a way that sometimes men aren't, they will overcomplicate it. Like, if I'm the girl I'm seeing now is just naturally really thin. She's like probably 110 pounds. I know, what a cunt, right? She's like this tiny little thing, right? And I at one point told her like, I'm just feeling like really bad about my body lately, and she was like, I think you're so beautiful. And I was like, that's so sweet, thank you. And then she goes, I fucked that up. I should have said I should have said it's like I shouldn't have implied that like being that you weren't fat, or that
you're
saying
not
that
beautiful.
like that saying that being fat is wrong. And I was like, we're not online.
Yeah.
You can actually I actually really liked when you said you're beautiful. I'm actually pretty okay with hearing no you're not sometimes.
Yeah. Because sometimes when I say I'm feeling fat today, I'm kind of fishing for that answer.
Oh, I want it so bad.
Like, I'm kind of fishing for it.
Yeah.
So, like, that's totally something. What the difference between dating men and women, like...
Because the men will give it to you. The women will think like, is this a good thing? Because I think we as women sometimes are like like training to be moms in our minds. We're like momming everyone around us. I think part of it is, maybe I'm just speaking to myself, but I feel like so much of my childhood was like, I was kind of like emotionally like checking in on my parents, making sure they were okay, doing that for a lot of other people. So like, and I think a lot of women do that.
Yeah.
So we're all trying to figure out like what the right thing is to say, but men never think about that. They're just like, you look great. And that's all you want sometimes. Sometimes you just want, I told her, I was like, really don't overcomplicate it. Like just you're beautiful. Like, mwah, that was
Love
perfect.
that.
Like chef's kiss. And she was like, I don't want to be fat phobic. I was like, I don't give a shit. I be fat phobic, actually.
Towards myself right now. So
I've been thinking about the word fat phobia because it's a funny word.
Yeah.
I think that like it's people aren't afraid of fat people the way they're like afraid of spiders.
Right.
It's not a phobia. And even if it was, like, I can't approach a woman and be like, oh, you don't want to like eat me out? Like, guess you don't think anyone should eat anything, you fucking bitch. Like, I can't like shame people into wanting to have sex with me and be like, it's your internalized fat phobia that's making you not want to do this.
There's something there, man, because you could take that, because I think about that too, like being scared of spiders, so like that's very specific, like you actually like run and cower if you were to see one, if you have like arachnophobia. But like fat phobia, I also thought of this with homophobia. I'm like, so like if you see a gay couple, you're just gonna like squeal.
You're gonna throw up.
There's a joke there.
Yeah,
that out.
I think it's like homophobia. I think the thing that makes it a phobia is like that can get you killed, right?
Yeah.
But then I think about it with like biphobia, and I'm bi, but I feel like biphobia, like the word phobia, people experience homophobia and people experience like bi erasure or like bisexual snarkiness, but you're not gonna be like, you like men and women? Ugh, that's fucking disgusting. Yeah. And it's the same with fatness. Like, you're not gonna see a fat person on the street and be like, oh my fucking god, I need to run away from you. You're like pouring sweat, like your hands are shaking.
Like, I don't think fat phobia, I don't think that's the right word for it.
There's gotta be a better word.
There's gotta be a better word, because fat phobia, I guess Webster's definition would be if I'm sitting on a plane and I see a fat person coming down the aisle and I'm like, please don't sit next to me, please don't sit next to me, please don't sit next to me. That's like a fat it's not phobia, it's like what's the fucking word? Like,
it's like fat snarkiness.
Yeah, snarkiness, or the words on the
it'd be like if we said to spiders, like, oh, you got 8 legs. That's not healthy.
Like, it's like you don't have the constitution to handle them. Like,
right.
It's less of a disgust and more of just like I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah, I think it's more of like a dismissiveness.
Yeah.
Or like a fucking disdain, perhaps.
Disdain.
But
yeah.
But phobia. I think phobia also implies that like, I don't know, that like it's something to be scared of. Like,
right.
That it's like people are. I guess maybe it makes sense that in that case, because like I'm thinking about it with homophobia, people are afraid of gay people because like they don't want to be gay themselves. I think a lot of the time, and like that is true of fat phobia.
Well, you don't want to be fat. Yes,
you don't want to be fat, so you're like but I think it's different because with fatness, like there is there is almost this complex I think a lot of people have where they're like, I'll never be fat.
Right.
Whereas
I used to think that, yeah. I thought I was fat while also thinking I'll never be fat.
I always, oh my God, in high school, I was such a bitch. Like, I would, like, you know, I was, like, not, like, in with the popular girls, and I would, like, think about them and be like, oh, but this girl is fat, so, like, I'll always have that on her. And then fucking Shakespearean, I gained the weight. I'm like, wow, guess we all fucking suck.
Yeah, guess we're all human beings.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the worst part of it all, isn't it?
Worst and the best.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this has been great.
This has been so fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We had a great conversation. Where can people find you?
You can go to Hip Soccer Mom and find me on Instagram.
I love your handle.
Oh my God, it's fun. I've been thinking about changing it, but I'm kind of like,
nah,
why I can't. It's easy
you
enough.
have too much of a digital footprint to change it now.
I think that's probably true. I've just been Hip Soccer Mom for so long that I can't really change it. But yeah,
you don't really need Gabby Jordan Brown comedy. Like, come on.
Like a official Gabby Jordan Brown.
Yeah,
like there's another one somewhere, like fucking freaking out. You can follow also my podcast, Two Nosy Meerkats. That's on all platforms, and we'll have you on that sometime.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
I'd love to.
Yeah, but this has been a blast.
Amazing. Thank you so much for doing it. It's been a great convo. And I think that I like about the podcast is that I feel like I get to connect with comics that I don't really get to see, you know? So, all right. Well, guys, until next week. Bye.